I am hanging out with Pat Morrow today. He's the president of the Crooked River Amateur Radio Club. Pat, how are you today?
Not too bad. You? Fine. Thanks for having me, and it's really nice to meet you.
It is nice to meet you in person. Pat and I have known each other here for a little while through some podcasts that I did a while back.
Exactly.
And then through social media. So nice to meet you in person, Pat, and get to hear a little bit about your organization. So first of all, tell me, how did you get interested yourself in radio?
I was dared.
You were dared?
I was dared
Okay,
into
tell
it.
me that story.
Well, a friend of mine back in 1991, in probably March of that year, the FCC had decided to drop the Morse code. So a friend of mine says, I'm going to go get my ham radio license. And you're just too busy. You'll never get yours. Slam it down. Like, oh.
Right.
So I took and I said, okay, I'm going to show you. I never said another word to him. And by April 15th, I took the test and passed it flying colors the first time.
Okay.
And then after that, I took and by June 1st of that year, the license was actually issued on May 30th. And by June 1st, I was a ham.
Okay.
I've been a ham since 1991. I actually have been involved with a lot of amateur radio activity. We do...
Tell us, because there's going to be a lot of people out there that have no idea what a ham is. So can you explain to me what that is?
What a ham does, we provide services to we're actually considered a service by the government.
Okay.
And what that means is we take and provide people training, whatever we need to have people in an emergency situation. We're the first ones there.
Wow.
Well, a lot of times we're there before any of the government stuff is there. We're there to help. We're there to communicate. We're there to provide communications from the affected area out, and a lot of times that has to be international.
Okay.
A lot of times too, we have these, when a hurricane comes out of Miami or comes over from Africa there through where it usually comes from. Mm-hmm. A lot of times when it starts getting close to the United States, you'll start hearing these things called hurricane nets on the HF pads.
Okay.
And what these hurricane nets do is they provide the emergency services.
Yeah, they're providing information.
And if you want to take this down to the local side, you have this thing called Skywarn that started back in the 1940s with the war effort, originally to protect the ammo dumps.
It's called Skywarn?
Skywarn, yes.
Okay.
And it's National Weather Service sponsored. It's pretty much their thing. And we provide ground truth observations and data to them to let them know what the radar isn't seeing.
Oh, that's so interesting. So you're actually out on the ground looking at the weather and you're providing information to the
You can have 15 radars looking at the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's not going to see it all. These see it all. A pair of eyes is better than any kind of radar. That's
fantastic. So you're providing information to them on the ground. And so are there people doing this kind of work, I would assume, like internationally, right?
Everywhere, yes.
That's great. So what does the Crooked River Amateur Radio Club do? If someone is interested in doing this kind of thing with you, what do you guys do?
We organize the communities with the public. Pardon my stutter.
No, let's try it. You organize the communities?
We organize the communities with the services and communications. We'll do stuff like the 4th of July parade. You'll see people like me standing on the side with radios.
Okay.
That's to provide the emergency communication from that point if something happens there. Oh, that's great. You'll see it like at the July 4th parades. So you'll see somebody pretty much at every street.
You can quickly get in touch with emergency services.
Right. And if something in the parade breaks down or something like that, we're the first ones to let them know what's going on up there. So when they see these lapses in a parade, they're 2 or 3 or 4 minutes long, they actually know why.
That's great.
And they can send people to go take care of it.
Go out to these events and then provide communication for emergency services.
We also handle the Akron marathons. A lot of times there's 30 or 40 hams at those.
Wow.
And nobody really sees them because we're not there to be seen. We're there to provide the communication and let the race people know what's happening on the ground.
That's so interesting. No, you're totally right. I never have seen you at any, I mean, I've never seen anyone doing what you're doing at any of these places, but how necessary that is to have someone to provide that information.
We even have rovers that, as far as the Akron Marathon goes, we usually have rovers that ride bikes around to make sure that there's nothing happening inside the race.
Yeah, and I would assume with like the marathon, it would even be more important. People aren't going to be carrying their phones while they're running.
Exactly.
And so
Well, the thing with the phones and that is, what happens when your cell towers go down?
Right.
What happens when your computer lines break down? You've got no internet. How do you communicate? There's a little piece of wire and a little transmitter there, and I can communicate all over the world that way.
Right.
100 watts on a wire is what I always say, and people use that phrase all the time. 100 watts on a wire can talk the world.
That's so true. And it is true. Like, I mean, just recently, some of the different cell companies have had, spotty coverage and you can't get through. And what if you did need to communicate something really, really important? So
There was once
that's why you
back
guys are
in,
around.
I think it was 2011 or 12, there was a steam pipe break down here in the bottom of AT&T that used to be down there.
Wow. Okay.
And it took the 911 lines out. Well, this was in the middle of the winter. It was snowing to beat the band out there. And we took and I got alerted that there was something going on that I needed to activate. So I went and did my thing. And they had two generators that were supposed to be brought in here. Mm-hmm. One was coming from Cleveland. They got it. They couldn't start the one that was here because the kerosene had gelled.
Oh my gosh.
Well, they told them go to take and get this other one from up north, and it gelled. And so they end up bringing this thing in from Marietta, and that one worked, but it was 1:30 in the afternoon the next day.
Right.
And if it would have, we were told at 9:30 that night that if by 10 o'clock the other emergency stuff hadn't started out, hams were going to be handling 911.
Wow.
Which is a first in this area that I have
Definitely be a first.
in the last 30 years that I've been a ham.
Okay. So if someone is watching this and they're interested in getting involved in what you do, how can they get in touch with you?
You can get a hold of me at crarcham.org. That's our website. Or you can follow us on Facebook. I'm Pat Morrow or you can follow the Crooked River Amateur Radio Club on Facebook.
Okay, great.
And then that's when the fun begins.
That's when he can find you. If someone's just interested in checking it out, seeing if it's something that they want to do or would be interested in, can they contact you to just see?
If you just need anything, my phone's always on.
Wonderful.
And the other thing I did want to mention, though, is we are a 501c3 group. We did that because of we wanted to serve the community in that aspect. And what happens with the 501c3, as everybody knows, those corporations usually donate stuff to the community as far as money. Once we get enough to keep our operating expenses and that on, we're going to probably do the same thing.
Great.
It's great to provide for the community.
Absolutely. Well, you're already providing for the community through what you do. And then, just to be able to even give back more is wonderful. If someone is interested in becoming a ham or just checking out more of what Pat Morrow and his Crooked River Amateur Radio Club does, you can contact him at all the different places that he mentioned. You can go on the Facebook page at Crooked River Amateur Radio Club and find him also on.
Or if you're a ham, you can always call N8OQP.
See, I have no idea what that means, but
you can pick up your little HT and get on a repeater and say, "Hey, N8OQP, where are you?" I'll usually come back if I hear you.
Come back. All right. I love that. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you, Pat, for being here today.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love the studio you got here.
Thank you.
I love one at home.
Thank you. We love having it. And we just love telling stories about people here in the Akron area. So thanks for coming on the show. And thank you guys for watching on Good Morning Akron. We had a great morning. Make sure you stay tuned for more great stuff coming up next.